everyone, and welcome to today's Make a Card Monday video. Woo! So for today's video, we're going to be making this really pretty flower card. It's a greeting card that you could use for any occasion, really. The sentiment on it says, dream without fear, love without limits. So it's a really nice greeting card to give to somebody that you love to kind of brighten their day or just show them that you love them and that you're thinking of them. For this card, we're going to be using, the Perfect Pair, or Picture Perfect, sorry. I was going to say Perfect Pairings, but that's not it. It's the Picture Perfect stamp set from the Occasions catalog, and this is one of my absolute favorite stamp sets from the catalog because it has a bunch of this multi-step stamping, which is something that I really, really like. So I wanted to bring you guys a card that features this stamp set because it's one of my favorites. So aside from the stamp set, move that out of the way, we're also going to need, let me move the card out of the way. We're going to be using 4 different inks today. So we're going to be using Versamark because we're going to do some embossing. For our 3-step stamping, we're going to be using these 3 ink pads. Now you could change this up. I think that's kind of the beauty of this card, is that you can really change it up because you don't have, if you didn't want to do purples, you could do pinks, or you could do blue or green or anything. You just need 3 stamp pads in the same color family, going from lightest to darkest. So we're going to be using Wisteria Wonder for our lightest shade. Then we're going to be using Perfect Plum for our medium shade, and Elegant Eggplant for our darkest shade. And I'll show you how those all work together when we actually start jumping into making the card. We're going to be using the Silver Emboss Powder. And for this project, we're going to be using 3 different kinds of cardstock. The first is a piece of Whisper White, and this is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. That's what we're going to be doing our stamping on. This is a piece of the Designer Series paper that was actually just discontinued with the, or it was one of the discontinued celebration items. So any cardstock would do. I just like the gray because I think it really anchors down all of this purple we have going on. And you could use any gray piece of cardstock if you wanted to. You could even use, I don't have any gray right near me, but you could use just a plain piece of cardstock. This has a little bit of color variance on it, but you can't really tell, so you could use just a plain piece of cardstock. And sorry about my nails, guys. I took my gel off, and now I just kind of letting them breathe. So anyways, sorry, total side note. This is cut, I don't know if I said, but this is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. Whoops. And then we're going to need a piece of Rich Raspberry. And it's funny, we're not actually using Rich Raspberry in this card, but I really like, or we're not using the ink, we're using other shades of purple, but I like this shade of purple with the flower effect that we end up with. So a piece of Rich Raspberry cut at 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. Make our normal A2 size card, and then you're going to need just a strip or a scrap of Whisper White because we're going to be doing some we're going to stamp some flowers on here and then fussy cut them out. So you'll just need a scrap, and then you'll also need another scrap of Rich Raspberry, and you just want to make sure that this is at least 3 3/4 inches wide, and I would say give yourself about 2 inches. So if you did 2 inches by 2 inches by maybe 4 1/2, you would be fine. I just grabbed a scrap and I can trim it down. That's kind of how I like to do my little bands. If you guys have seen my videos before where I do bands, that's kind of the way that I like to go about it. So let's go ahead and jump into this card. Okay, so the main piece of this card is going to be all of the different flowers. And for the flowers, we're going to be doing multi-step stamping. If you're not familiar with multi-step stamping, it's pretty simple. I've done one other card, I think it's just been one other one that used multi-step stamping. It was the What I Love About You card that I did for Valentine's Day. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check out that one. But this one is basically the exact same concept. That card we did 2 steps. This card we're going to be doing 3 steps. The way that it works is when you get your little sheet of stamps from the stamp set, there's actually 2 sheets in this one, but this is the one that has the flowers, you'll see that there's 3 different stamps and they're labeled 1, 2, and 3. So you're going to start with the first one. You're going to use your lightest shade of ink for the first one. Then you'll move to the second one. You'll use your medium shade of ink. And then you'll go to the third one and you'll use your darkest shade of ink. And that gives it the depth and dimension that really makes these flowers beautiful and makes them pop and look really real. So we're going to start with the first one. I'm going to set that off to the side. Oops. And it dropped on the ground, so. Okay. We saved it. It's fine. I grabbed a different sheet of scratch paper too, because I didn't think that other one was going to be big enough to do the number of flowers that I wanted to use. So for this, I have my first stamp on my, what is this, C block? Yeah, on the C block. We're going to first be using Wisteria Wonder. And I'm just going to ink that up. And I'm going to do this 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and number 4, I might have to squeeze him in there. Okay, there we go. And number 4. So that's super, super easy. Now, I'm going to grab stamp number 2. I'm going to move Wisteria Wonder out of the way just a little bit. We're going to grab stamp number 2. Whoops. And we're going to be using Perfect Plum for this one. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp. And then I'm going to stamp right on top. And you should be able to line it up. That's the beauty of photopolymer stamps, is that you can see right through them. So you should be able to line them up and see exactly where you're stamping and get it perfect on top of the other one. And even if it's a little off, you can't really tell once they're stamped down. And these are actually going to get cut out, but you can't super tell. Whoops. That one I even stamped down a little too soon on, but that's okay. Just clean that bad boy off. Set them off to the side. And then we're on to the third stamp. And for this one, we're going to be using Elegant Eggplant. So we're just going to take this one. And again, line it up. And stamp down. Super simple, super easy. These are really nice. You can really tell how they line up and where they go and all of that good stuff. So there is number 3. So that's exactly how we're going to stamp all of our flowers. So this is the piece that we're going to be using, and these are going to get cut out and we're going to use them as kind of pop-up elements on our card. So I'm going to set these off to the side to dry. You're going to do the exact same thing on this piece, but for this one, you're just going to be stamping the flowers all over. This is going to be our background, and the 4 that we just stamped are going to be kind of a pop-up element off of that background. So you're going to just take your other piece of Whisper White. This is the one that's cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and you're just going to stamp these flowers all over this piece just like you did. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on this one, but I'm going to speed it up for you guys so it doesn't take as long, and then I will be right back. Is done, and I also went ahead and cut out my 4 flowers. I just fussy cut them, and if you don't know what that means, basically you just take your normal scissors and cut around the little image so that it is loose. I don't even know what the best term for that is. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my scrap piece of Rich Razzleberry, and we're going to go ahead and do our greeting, or our sentiment now. And let me grab my stamp set. I need this one. This is where all the greetings are. And we are going to be using this one, which is the one that's in the sample. It says dream without fear, love without limits. I just love that so much. And I'm going to be grabbing my H block. And I'm just going to mount this up. Just like that. I'm going to use my Versamark ink to get that nice and juicy. And now I'm going to line it up at the bottom. I want the band to be fairly thick, so I'm going to do this quite a bit up from the bottom, just so that I can get my band nice and wide like I want it. Just stamp that down. I'm going to take my scratch piece of paper. I also used this scratch piece of paper when I was stamping my background image, just so that any of the flowers that went off the piece of paper were it was stamped on this instead of onto my desk. And that was just the silver emboss powder. Shake that off. Take this and scoop it all back up, whoops, into my jar. I made a little bit of a mess, so let me grab a baby wipe and just move this out of the way because I don't want that to get embossed down on my desk. So now I'm just going to take my heat tool using setting number 2 as usual. Heat it up on my hand. Once it gets nice and warm, bring it to the paper. There we go, just like that. Okay, and we are almost done. Okay, now I'm going to grab, move this stuff out of the way. I'm just going to grab my paper trimmer, and I'm going to go ahead and cut down my little band. I like that. I think that looks really nice. Move that off to the side because I no longer need it. Now I'm going to take my regular adhesive, just put adhesive on the back just like any other band, and for this one I want it to be pretty much in the center, or as in the center as I can get it. Whoa, good enough. And then just stick it down and fold back the tabs. I love doing bands for my sentiments. I think it looks really, really pretty. So you can see that I made a couple of little boo-boos and smudged a little bit, but that's what the beauty of these flowers that we fussy cut out are. Whatever. We're just using them as kind of like little embellishments, so you can put them wherever you want. And it's really just to give a little bit more dimension to the card. So I like to use these to clean up my boo-boos because I have quite a few of those. So what I'm going to do is just stick a couple of dimensionals on the back of each of these, and I'm being kind of mindful as to where I'm going to put these down, because you don't want to stick a dimensional down where you're going to cut off. So I think I want, let me see, I think I want another one right down in that bottom corner. And then for this one, I think I want another one more so in the center. Just like that. We'll start with these two, and then I like to use the extras as well. So you'll see that here in a second. There's that one. This one. I just like to check. So this one I have a little bit of dimensional hanging off, but it's not that big of a deal. And then this one I'm going to put right here in the center. Man, I have such a hard time getting those little dimensionals off sometimes. Okay, and then this last one, where do we want to put him? Oops. put him right there, and then I think I might use some of the extra bits that we're going to cut off and kind of even it out a little. Man, now that I cut my nails, I am really having a hard time with these. Oh man, whoops. Okay. There's that, and now I'm just going to take my scissors, and I'm going to be very careful when I cut these because I want to save these little pieces. I don't want them to go flying all over the place. Like this little guy, he's not worth saving. There's hardly anything there. But this one will be a good one to use. And you just cut right through that dimensional, it's fine. And I think I'm going to use this one over here just to give it a little bit of movement. And I'm actually going to, I have the sheet of the outside that I want to use. And let me just, oh, is that already cut? No. Using the outer edge for stuff like this is perfect. And I'm just gonna kind of line it up. I just really wanted something more on this side. Just like a lot. And I think that's gonna be fine. That'll be good for this one. Okie dokie. So now it's really just assembling the card, and this is the easy part. So we're going to take our piece here. I'm just going to put some dimensionals on the back of it. Oops. 1, 2. This one's a little wonky. There we go. That's better. 1 in the center. Holy guacamole. Okay, there we go. Centering this up on our gray piece of Designer Series paper, and then I'm going to take my just normal adhesive one more time, put a couple of strips down the back. Oh, I guess I have to fold my card base, don't I? So I'm going to fold this in half. My adhesive is already on this piece, and I'm just going to center it up. And voila, that's it. So it's a super simple, quick, easy card. Once you get the hang of the multi-step stamping down, it's really not that difficult to recreate this. And like I said, if purple's not your color, or if you don't know somebody that loves the color purple, change it up. Use greens or blues or pinks or whatever color combination you would like to use. But this stamp set is awesome. So definitely check it out if you're into the multi-step stamping. And hopefully you guys are having a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye!